Hello ladies and gentlemen, happy Friday and welcome back to another episode of Hotfix, your daily dose of gaming news. Today we have a bunch of Nintendo news. They revealed all sorts of information. So my name is Max, yesterday was April 27th, 2017, and let's get right into it. First things first, Nintendo reported selling 2.74 million Nintendo Switch consoles in the month of March, the month that it launched. Japanese buyers made up 600,000 of that, Americas were 1.2 million, and other markets include 940,000 of those sales. It's important to note that the Xbox One and the PS4 sold 3 million and 4.2 million respectively during their first month and a half, so the Nintendo Switch is not far behind, which is pretty great for it launching with really only one game to play. You can expect those sales only to rise as the year goes on, with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe coming out today, Splatoon 2 coming out later, Super Mario Odyssey in the fall, and much more. Even more interesting despite that is that Zelda Breath of the Wild is actually selling more than the console has sold. Like I was just saying, the Switch has sold 2.74 million units. Well, Zelda has sold 2.76 million copies. I guess this kind of makes sense because I could see people maybe buying the game before they end up getting a Switch just so that they have it for when they do end up getting it, like maybe later on in the fall or this summer when some deals are happening or something like that. Nintendo also gave an explanation saying it may be possible that these people just purchased the limited edition of the game and then a normal edition of the game just to play, so that limited edition is just collectors and never really used. It's important to note that the total software sales of Switch games was actually 5.46 million units in March. So the console's attach rate is just under 2 at 1.99, which obviously means that gamers are buying an average of 2 games with their Switch, which is awesome to see. There were a bunch of doubters with the Switch, but I'm happy to see that it's doing so well. Like I said earlier, it's only going to do better. Riding off this high, Nintendo also had the audacity to announce a Nintendo 2DS XL. The new console will be coming this July for $149.99, and it will have the same power of the new 3DS XL. The system will be available in a black and turquoise color this July 28th in the United States. It will be available in Japan on July 13th for 14,980 yen. It will also be launching in Europe, however there is no release date or price for that just yet. Obviously, aside from the 3D aspect, the new Nintendo 2DS XL comes with all the same features as the new Nintendo 3DS XL, but it also comes with an AC adapter, which the 3DS XL did not. Awesome news. Now, it's pretty widely known that the Fire Emblem franchise is popular, however, it has more of a cult following, especially when compared to Mario, which is worldwide popular. That dedicated following is shown even more in their mobile titles. Super Mario Run has a player base that is 10 times larger than Fire Emblem Heroes, but Fire Emblem Heroes has made way more money. Despite the fan bases, a lot of this is likely because Super Mario Run isn't really a full game for free. You could do a few things, but really you have to pay the $10 to get more than a few hours worth of play, whereas Fire Emblem Heroes is free to play with microtransactions, so you could play the whole game and get everything without paying a cent. According to this article, not even 10% of total Super Mario Run downloads have been converted over to the paid version. This is even despite it having the Android launch pretty recently, whereas Fire Emblem Heroes launched on both iOS and Android at the same time. It's interesting stuff, but I think it makes complete sense. Microtransactions are much more popular, they allow everyone to play the game and just throw a few bucks at it if they wish. $10 is a lot for a mobile game. I think that Super Mario Run would be worth it, but a lot of people may not. And if we're going off these statistics, most people don't think that. While this may be a little bit surprising, when you really think about it, it isn't that surprising. Nintendo is not having an E3 conference this year. Their last conference was in 2012, and since then they have been doing Nintendo Directs, kind of just running their own conference, doing their own thing because they like to do that. However, this year is a bit different since the Nintendo Switch launched and they have all these upcoming games, which will still be shown at the conference, of course. They just won't have their own big conference like Microsoft, Sony, Ubisoft, and everyone else does. I guess it doesn't matter that much though, since all of their current consoles are doing very well. Like we said earlier, they're just gonna keep doing that. Now on to Sony news. PS4 shipments have reached 60 million units worldwide, and Sony expects to sell 18 million more by April 2018. A quick note, it's important to realize that this is shipments towards retailers, not necessarily people purchasing them. However, like I've said before, if they have to keep shipping units to retailers, that means people are buying them. These numbers range from November 2013 when the console launched to March 2017, which is the end of Sony's 2016 fiscal year. This means that 2.9 2.9 million PS4s shipped just from January to March 2017, which makes sense because of all those damn exclusives they came out with this year. If they do ship 18 million units by April 2018, they'd be very close to a total of 78 million units shipped, which would be very close to the PlayStation 3's lifetime shipments of 80 million. Yesterday, Phil Spencer came out and talked about some of his plans for the future of the Xbox division. It looks like he kind of wants a Netflix for gaming service. He goes, and I quote, "I've looked at things like Netflix and HBO where great content has been created because there's a subscription model. A fellow colleague and I are thinking a lot about, well, could we put story-based games into the Xbox Game Pass business model because you have a subscription going? It would mean you wouldn't have to deliver the whole game in 1 month. You could develop and deliver the game as it goes." I don't know why he's acting like this is some original idea. This is literally just an early access game. Also, listen to this. The audience for these big story-driven games, I won't say it isn't as large, but they're not as consistent. And then listen to what he shits on. You'll have things like Zelda or Horizon Zero Dawn that'll come out and they'll do really well, but they don't have the same impact that they used to have because the big service-based games are capturing such a large amount of the audience. Sony's first-party studios do a lot of these games and they're good at them, but outside of that, it's difficult. They're becoming more rare. It's a difficult business decision for those teams. You're fighting into more headwind. I don't know where he's been, but I have seen Horizon Zero Dawn talked about every single day since the launch of the damn game. And same with Legend of Zelda. I don't think he realizes that you don't have to keep playing a game necessarily to appreciate it. Like, people are going to remember Zero Dawn. They're going to remember Zelda for a very long time and maybe even go back to replay such a focused and well-designed experience. I think he's just trying to cover his own ass for them not really having any great single-player games. You know, they have Recore, which is just great. Fucking thrilling game. He also mentions their first-party stuff. He goes, "Right now the focus is really on the content that we're building. I know I get some community pushback on our first-party slate and what position we're in, and I want to say to people, that same level of commitment you felt from myself and from the team as we've evolved platform over the last 3 years is going on with our first party. I don't want to go and pre-announce a bunch of things, but we are upping our investment. There's no doubt about that." Well, you better fucking be upping your investment. The thing is, you could say you're upping your investment, but you're coming from zero here. Okay, maybe not zero, but you're coming from a pretty low bar. Upping a low bar to a medium bar doesn't really do much for anyone. Like I said before, unless they reveal a fuck ton of first-party exclusives that we did not know about this E3, he's talking out his ass. Yeah, great, you can have a bunch of first-party games come later on. However, you're dropping a console without any software for it. But I digress. I've talked a lot on this subject before. Those who want to check that out can actually go look at my Scorpio video, my Hotfix breakdown, for my extended thoughts on that, and you can go discuss it over there. The first hour of the upcoming Prey reboot is now available as a demo on both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but not PC, which is weird. The game will be coming out on May 5th, so you have a little bit of time to get into it beforehand. I've heard it's pretty cool. Plus, it's being made by the guys who make the Dishonored series, which is one of my favorite series if you didn't know. Anyways, folks, that's about it for yesterday's news. Really hope you enjoyed all this mostly positive news. I think it's great to see Nintendo doing so well. Sony's doing great as well, and while Xbox isn't doing bad, I really need to see Phil Spencer come through on what he says here, because I really feel like he's talking out his ass sometimes. Maybe it's not up to him, because he is the PR rep, and part of his job is taking all the shit we have to say to him, and he doesn't get to make all the big calls. But these are all things we'll have to see in time. Speaking of time, I need to go, so I will see you guys next Monday. This is Max signing off.